Rod Fleming here in the Philippines. I'm discussing today a paper called Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria in Adolescents and Young Adults, a Study of Parental Reports, written by Dr. Lisa Littman of Brown University in the United States. Now, the paper itself, published earlier this month, I'll put a link down to it. You really must read it. It confirms many of the things that I've been saying for a long time, which is that Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria, from now on ROGD, is not a classic form of gender dysphoria. In fact, I don't think it's gender dysphoria at all. It seems to be more akin to other dissociative disorders of adolescence, like anorexia, like persistent self-harm, body dysmorphia, things like that, which it seems to fit much more clearly into those groups rather than into the gender dysphoria groups, because gender dysphoria always has a sexual element. There's no way around it. I mean, I know a lot of trans activists hate the idea that actually there isn't such a sexual element in gender dysphoria, but there is. Sexuality and gender are completely linked. Gender is how we express our sexuality. If there's a mismatch between them, if you have female sexuality, that is, you want nice big hairy men, but you're having to present like a man, you will experience gender dysphoria. That is what it is. Okay? Now, what's happened is that this paper was published in a journal called PLOS One, which is a great journal. It has, I think, a unique standpoint editorially. It only takes the academic rigour or scientific rigour of the paper as justification for publication. It does not have an editorial stance that it reflects. So it publishes all sorts of papers, and it's a great publication to read. Now, the Brown University website had a link to this paper, which is all perfectly well done, and they'd done a press release saying that Dr. Littman had published this paper, and then, of course, the trans activists got involved, and particularly led by, guess who? Julia Serrano, our old pal Julia Serrano. So she wrote a piece on a Medium page. Now, her piece, I've read it, I won't put a link on it, up to it, you can find it yourself if you want it. It's the usual Serrano BS. She picks out for criticism the things that Lisa Littman actually already flagged up as possible problems. You know, it's a very shallow response to the paper, because Littman had already made the point that these were, for example, that Serrano criticises her for only speaking to the parents, not to the young people involved. Lisa Littman makes this point, justifies it, and allows for it in the paper. So it's done. You can't criticise her for that, because that she has already accepted that is a limitation in the paper, and one which she did allow for. However, once the TRAs, as usual, mob attacked Brown University, the PR department did the only thing they could do, which was to take down the link. We can't take down the paper because that's PLOS One. PLOS One, by the way, have as justification for taking down this link, the Brown University PR department have cited that PLOS One have said they will review the methodology of the paper, and I've left it at that. You know, that's normal. PLOS One has already reviewed the entire paper in depth. It's been peer reviewed, and they published it. So they've gone through this procedure. They're just saying, well, okay, as a sop to all these complainants, we'll have another look, but it's most unlikely, knowing PLOS One and its publication history, that they're going to find something that they didn't find the first time round. However, the PR department, on the basis of this, took down the link to the paper. Now, please understand that this was, as far as I know, the PR department who did it. And, you know, I've worked with plenty of PR departments in academic institutions as well as major corporations, and I can tell you this, they have no autonomy at all. None. Zero. Zip. Everything they do is pre-approved by higher authorities. PR departments like this tend to be run by very, well, shall we say, junior members of staff, mostly without real journalistic experience, although they may have done a media studies course or something like that. And when the shit hits the fan, they call in the real journalists to try and sort out the mess. They want Malcolm Tucker, in other words, so they call us in. We're trained in biting people and sorting things out. So that's what we do. Whether or not Brown will call in a specialist like that, I don't know. What they will certainly do is they will refer the matter up their chain of command. It would certainly need to go up to the Dean's office, the Dean himself, possibly the Board of Governors or whatever they're called in that institution, for a decision. PR departments of this order are just not allowed to make decisions like that. It's outside their domain. It's above their pay grade. So please, let's not just jump on the PR department. And at the same time, you cannot criticise the university itself, because this was the PR department acting in the way that they were told they would have to behave. So you're going to have to give the university a little while, a week or two, for it to go through the various levels of authority that it has to go through, and for them to formulate a considered response on the part of the university. Everybody's on holiday just now. It's still summertime as far as I know in the USA, so I think that might take a while. At the moment, it doesn't look good. It has not been a good thing to do, but at the same time, the responsible people in the PR department would have weighed up the possible reactions in both directions, and I think their justification, I can see where their justification came from. You have to understand that university PR departments are not in the business of promoting research. They're not in the business of promoting the individual careers of professors. What they're in the business of is attracting more students to the university so that they can gain more revenue. That's what they're for. They're to attract people to the university. So they know how sensitive this subject is at the moment, the whole transgender thing, and so what seems to have happened here is that they've gone, right, pull the plug on that one, that's too much of a hot potato, let's just take it away for a while. Like I say, I've worked with plenty of these departments in the past, and they're generally speaking staffed by well-meaning but somewhat inexperienced people, and big bad journalists do scare the shit out of them. It's as simple as that, they really do. And so I can see where it's coming from, that the last thing they want is some big bears, you know, from either the right or extreme left press on their phones demanding to know answers, to which, to be fair, the PR department would not be able to give an answer. You know, they're always going to have to refer it up. They can't say. All they're there to do is to publicise the university to prospective students. So there you are, that's it. Keep this space watch. Please read the paper. It's a really important paper, and it's well worth reading. It's well written. It's not a hard read, and as I say, it does underpin the understanding that I have been putting forward, that ROGD is not really gender dysphoria at all, although it appears like it. Just as an aside, right now and for some time now, I would have been calling and continue to call for a blanket moratorium on all surgical interventions for adolescent females presenting with what might be diagnosed as ROGD. Once they're adult, there's nothing you can do about it. That's fine. It's their lives. But in the 14 to 16 age range, stop the surgeries. Just stop now. We're going to see an awful lot of trouble, and it's going to damage an awful lot of people. And my concern is that the damage that is done to misdiagnosed young people by over-enthusiastic recourse to surgery will impact on HSDS. HSDS, for many decades, were marginalised, found it difficult to get the help they needed, and we had kind of got out of that, and it was like, yeah, we're moving ahead now, and this has the risk of throwing it all back to the 1990s or before, and we don't want that. We want to keep protecting the HSDS so that they can easily move forward with their lives, including, if that means, changing their gender, or rather, resolving their gender such that it is in concordance with their sexuality. Okay? Take care. Bye.